Hey all, Ryan here from Planetary Lapidary, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you guys how I built a classifier. I'm going back to the Wisconsin Moonstone area, and I'm going to show you how I built a classifier like this, a little classifier table, so you can throw your shovels full of dirt up there, and a lot of the dirt and sand and stuff will fall through, and the rocks will stay on top. So basically what you're gonna need to get is this is 1/2-inch galvanized mesh. It's like for around plants or like tree trunks. And you get it in a roll and you have to unroll it. That's probably the hardest part, is actually unrolling it and getting it to stay flat, but it's doable. And what I'm gonna do, you could buy some wood, like some 2x2s if you want. That's what I use for the frame of that one, 2x2s. But I have some of this leftover wood here, so I'm gonna just rip some 2x2s out of them quick on the table saw, and then we'll get back over here and I'll show you what we do next. So just a quick word before I get into this, I do use a few power tools, you know, a table saw, miter saw, to get my boards cut down to size. If you buy your 2x2s, you know, that'll totally take out the table saw. And then you can even make your cuts for your 2x2s with like a hand saw or any kind of saw. You know, you don't need any power tools except for a drill, I suppose, when you put your screws in, but you won't need a saw. If you know, chances are you know somebody that has at least a handsaw, and you can just make the cuts. And even if you're really bad at it, it won't really matter that much, because it doesn't have to be totally square on the corners. You know, all you're doing is throwing dirt through it. So, but another thing you will need is one of these guys to cut that galvanized mesh, because you'll have to cut it to whatever length you want it. So just wanted to let you guys know that before we get into it. So with that, let's get into it. Okay, so we're done with the table saw. This is kind of what we got. I just ripped this stuff all down into 2x2s basically. Now what we need to do is we need to go over to the miter saw and we need to get 8 pieces. So this is 24, because that's how wide the roll comes. So it's 24, and then this one is by 16. So I want to go a little bit bigger. So the edges of this thing, you know, you're going to sandwich this in between 2x2s like this, basically, and then screw the 2x2s together through the mesh. So you want it just a little bit longer so nothing's sticking out of the ends. So we'll go over to the miter saw and get 8 pieces, 4 at like 25 inches long and 4 at, you know, whatever it would be, 14.5 or whatever, to make it 16. And we'll be back after that. Okay, so now I have all my pieces. I got 2 at 13, or 4 at 13 and 4 at 25. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 frames together. You know, the 13's on the sides, the 25's on the top. I'm just clamping them a little bit in from the ends, because I'm just going to pre-drill just 1 screw right here, right in the middle of each one on both of those sides. So I'll do that, and then I will get the other frame together, and after I got both of those done, I'll show you what we got. Okay, so I have my 2 frames screwed together, just 1 screw in each corner, just to hold them together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mesh, which should fit kind of perfectly right inside of the border of this wood here. In this step, it helps a lot if you have a staple gun. So you're basically just going to go around, and if you don't have a staple gun, you can just flatten this out and put the other frame right on top and skip this step. This just makes it a little easier for me to get it clamped down and everything. So I'll staple all around this thing so it's flat, and then I'll show you what we got. Okay, so I got this galvanized mesh stapled down to the edges here. Now all you gotta do is just put your other frame right on top of that one so it's lined up. So that's what you got. So now you have your mesh in here, and you have a 1.5-inch border, you know, which is plenty. So you can throw some dirt in here, swish it around, and then the bigger stuff will get caught by the sides. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to clamp this all together, and then I'm just going to put screws in all the way around this thing, just so it holds all together, all in one piece. And then I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, so basically we just put screws in all of those holes that we put in there. You know, we could flip it on this side and then you wouldn't see all those holes, I suppose. But that's it. That screen is never coming out of there. Those screws kind of go through that mesh, so it'll never pull out. And if you buy 2x2s, or you are just conscious of how you're cutting your own, you know, leftover wood, then you can keep the soft edges towards the outsides. So then you don't really have to put, like, this one's a little bigger too, so I put handles on it. And then there's also other things you could do, like this is just some dowel legs that I put, so these just go in here, so I can actually make this into a table, you know, so I can just set it up and throw dirt on it and watch it fall through. But if you want just a little classifier, you know, this thing's really not too heavy. You know, this, I think this wood was really old and treated, so this one's a little heavier. But if you get new 2x2s, they're really, really light. And they're like, I don't know what, $2 or $3 a piece. You might need 2 of them, 2 8-foot 2x2s. And then I got a 5-foot roll of this galvanized mesh, which was like $6. So for under $15, you know, I made this nice classifier. I guess the cost of some screws too, but yeah. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'll try to show you some close-ups of something here at the end, but hopefully you enjoyed this and learned how to make your own little cheap classifier for when you go digging your rocks. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.